Yeah, yeah. Right. So,
Teresa, I would like to hear your testimony.
Certainly, sir. As I sat by my bedroom window, I saw 3 men in the moonlight down by the lodge gate. But I thought nothing of it at the time. Oh, if I'd known.
And then?
I went to bed, and it was more than an hour after that I heard my mistress scream. And down I ran, to find her tied to the chair and him on the floor with his head smashed. That's all I know.
okay. Okay. Reading the Times. Family business booming. The Randall gang is back on the street. Less than a fortnight ago, this infamous family of burglars, the Randalls, as they are known, made their reappearance by way of a brutal but successful intrusion into one of the wealthier homes in Sydenham. The police are already on their trail. However, the details of the crime being kept confidential, including that of the name of the victim. A witness was able to provide a precise description of all 3 men, and this will surely give the police a chance to complete their profile on this family of delinquents. We would take the liberty of reminding our esteemed readers about this highly dangerous band, and to provide the full description as it is available at this moment. The gang has been in business for some considerable time, being a family of 3, a father and his 2 sons. The elder, Jack Randall, is a man in his 40s and already grey-haired, while of average height and build, being the mastermind behind retains control over his sons, both of whom are close in age but very different in appearance. The first son, William Randall, is tall and broad-shouldered with a small disproportionate head. The younger brother, Melvin Randall, is of a somewhat weaker constitution and is as skinny as a rake. The gang is wanted not only for their frequent thefts and break-ins, but for the exceptionally brutal pirate career they enjoyed before returning to England. Be alert, and may your valuables stay safe.
The description of the Randall gang provided by Lady Brackenstall is identical to the one in the Times article.
Okay.
This photograph of Lady Brackenstall and her maid Teresa was taken at a port, but which one?
I hope Southampton. Rock of Gibraltar. Adelaide, 1893. Okay.
So the lady and her maid came from Australia a year and a half ago on this ship.
Okay.
These scratches are most definitely made by the picture frame. A trapper's hut.
Okay. Interesting.
This is Sir Eustace's safe. There may be something important inside. I must ask Lady Brackenstall to open it.
Read the character profile first. Teresa is very attached to her mistress and has known her for a considerable time. She's the only resident servant at the Abbey Grange. Cooking for, serving and nursing Lady Brackenstall, she would not hesitate to protect her in the event of any trouble.
Lady Brackenstall, could you open this wall safe?
No, it is my husband's safe. I do not know the combination.
We have to open it. Your ladyship? Let us try to open this safe. This safe can be cracked. I only have to pay attention. The dial will vibrate when it is set to the correct number.
Okay. Okay.
It is common practice to keep one's valuables in a safe behind a painting. It should not really pose a challenge for a criminal. Antique coins, possibly of value, but they're scattered without care.
Medical report. Sir Eustace, your current physical and mental state is of great concern. There are several signs of hepatic decompensation. The last time we met, your eyes were bloodshot and your skin was tinged with yellow. There's a particular odour from your breath that is common in those suffering from liver damage. Then there are the lung abscesses that we have discussed. The leg cramps you have described to me are caused by an alteration to the nervous system, which in turn is caused by an excess of alcohol. That includes the tremors. Your liver seemed excessively hard at the time of your examination, which is a sign of an involving cirrhosis. There are also signs of ascites, fluid in the peritoneal cavity, which are evident with your swollen stomach. The pain beneath your left rib indicates a pancreatic malady, which may lead to fatal and fulminant pancreatitis. Your condition may pose a risk to others. Your excessive alcohol consumption lowers your self-control and heightens your aggression. I am available to help you with this problem. There are a number of treatment options. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to check something quickly. I just want to check I got this trophy. I'm pretty sure I have, but I'm going to check anyway. Right. My grey matters. Okay. Okay, right.
You should examine the body of Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
Okay.
So, Watson, what have you learned from examining Sir Eustace's body?
Well, I can confirm that the death was instant. Sir Eustace was facing his attacker when he received the blow to his head. There are no other apparent injuries. You should examine the body of Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
Okay.
That must be the murder weapon. The head was cracked with the force of the blow. Quite a large stick, a formidable weapon. Barefoot, he had therefore been in bed and did not have time to fully dress.
Do you need a hand, Steve? Okay. Okay.
It is covered in blood. Sir Eustace might have struck his head upon it while falling from the blow. That is one possible explanation. It appears that the bell rope was cut by someone taller than me. A fur trader's cabin. This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing.
I have no idea what beeswing is. I'm not a wine kind of guy.
This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing.
You're right. Okay.
There is beeswing at the bottom, as if the wine had not been decanted before being poured. It is rather strange that only one of these glasses has dregs of beeswing inside it, while the other two are clear. A decanter standing next to the open bottle, an inseparable pair indeed. Chateau Calon Ségur, French wine, Grand Cru.
The Roman detective rope is used for restraining Lady Brackenstall. Okay, I will.
Sailor's knots. That's interesting. This rope was handled by the murderers. We need a scent hound to follow their trail. I will take it with me. This is the chair that Lady Brackenstall was tied to. This candlestick is valuable. It is interesting that it was not also stolen.
That's weird.
These wine bottles are expensive and mostly from France. A bottle of wine is missing here. An empty silverware box. It appears that the intruders have stolen the contents. The criminals did not thoroughly ransack the house. They only took a little silverware. This door leads to the upstairs bedrooms. Apparently the criminals did not venture there.
Okay.
Come on, Toby. We need the best nose in the British Empire on this case.
I agree with you, Toby, that Watson's shoe is preferable to Mrs. Hudson's cold cuts. I agree with you, Toby, that Watson's shoe is preferable to Mrs. Hudson's cold cuts. I agree with you, Toby, that Watson's shoe is preferable to Mrs. Hudson's cold cuts.
Such, Toby.
This is gonna be funny.
The intruders entered the shed for some reason when they were making off with the silverware. The scent leads to the well. I should check it. The intruder's trail is lost behind this wall. The criminals left the house through the French window. They walked to the shed, then across to the well, before fleeing by climbing over the wall. I wonder why they chose such a winding route. The intruder's trail is lost behind this wall. This hook might be useful. Bags of seed. Some empty bags were recently moved. Small gardening tools, nothing of great interest. This old suitcase sounds hollow. It must be empty. There's something glittering at the bottom there, but how can I reach it? The bucket can be easily removed. The wheel handle is old and rusty. It seems to be used infrequently.
Okay, interesting.
Silverware. This is hardly a coincidence. The Brackenstall coat of arms. It appears that we have found the stolen silverware.
Nice.
What do you know about Sir Eustace, Inspector? What was his reputation?
A charming man when sober, but an absolute demon when he was drunk. In such moments he was apparently capable of anything. Why, once he splashed fuel on Lady Brackenstall's dog and set it alight. Another day he threw a decanter of wine at Miss Wright's head.
The alcohol seemed to madden him.
To the point that we were forced to intervene several times to avoid a scandal.
Inspector, I have recovered the stolen silverware.
You are a wizard, Mr. Holmes. And where is it?
In the garden well.
Excuse me?
Unique, isn't it?
Rather absurd. What is the point of stealing silverware and then throwing it down into a well?
Perhaps it was used as a temporary hiding place, or simply the thieves wanted to get rid of it. It is up to us to solve this mystery.
Okay. What now?
There are 3 glasses on the dining room table. I was wondering if...
Oh, I forgot. When I came to myself the first time, each of them had a glass in his hand. They might have been a father and his 2 sons. They talked together in whispers, and then they left.
We found your silverware, Lady Brackenstall. It had not been taken very far.
Is that true? I am very thankful to you, Mr. Holmes.
Your ladyship?
Sir Eustace's doctor speaks of his violent behaviour.
Yes, Sir Eustace was an extremely violent man. A detestable human being, to be more precise. It is true that he once threw a decanter at me, and all because I dared to stand up to him in defence of my mistress. Sly devil. God forgive me that I should speak of him so now that he's dead. But a devil he was, if ever one walked the earth. We met him only 18 months ago. She'd only just arrived in London. Yes, it was her first voyage. She'd never been from home before. Wonder with his title and his money and his false London ways. If she made a mistake, she has paid for it, if ever a woman did. She doesn't have any friends here, so it was specially hard for her.
We found your mistress's silverware.
Oh, that's good news. You really are as clever as they say.
Indeed.
Dog in there. So I can dog then.
Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire. Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire. Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire.
Right. It's conclusion time, I think. Occasion 1. Randalls are well known, plus criminals identified. Randalls are well known, plus criminals identified. Equals Randall gang. Okay. Silverware found plus criminals identified. Silverware found plus criminals identified equals robberies and motives. Two glasses plus glass or B-swing. Two glasses plus a B-swing. Two people. Three people. Bent poker plus dead body. Poker blow equals Randall's guilty. Fireplace great plus dead body. Deadly accident. From Australia plus no acquaintance. Right behaviour plus inspector's tale. Domestic violence. Domestic accident. Continuing the investigation set up the following days. Use. Okay. Randall's blamed. Imitated robbery. Domestic violence. Two people. Poker. Poker blow. Okay.
Brave Toby. The best nose in the British Empire.
Let us see how the rope was cut. The fibers at the end of the rope are smoothly cut. Let us try to find out what tool was used to cut the rope. The fibers from this cut appear to be different. The fibers from this cut appear to be different. If I cut the rope with a knife, it matches the original.
Okay. Knotted rope plus sharp knife equals center background. Okay. Arrival of the Rock of Gibraltar ship returned. Rock of Gibraltar, a bulk carrier from the Adelaide, Southampton, London line, Cunard Building, James Street, London, has returned from a 6-month voyage through India, New Zealand and Australia. The ship brought to England Miss Mary Fraser, the heiress of the Fraser family, owning land and tin mines in Australia. This reportedly beautiful young lady is presently engaged to Sir Eustace Brackenstall, one of the wealthiest gentlemen in Kent.
Here it is.
Okay.
The shipping company, the Adelaide, Southampton, London line, and its address. Interesting. It must be the place where they keep the records, including the one for the crew of the Rock of Gibraltar.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard, they'll give it to you without any problems.
But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist.
Okay.
Brave Toby. The best nose in the British Empire. Wiggins, could you come upstairs, please?
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
I need a register, my young friend. If you could borrow it, there will be half a guinea for every one of you. I need the crew list of the Rock of Gibraltar in 1893 and their current employment.
I'm straight on it, Mr. Holmes.
Do you really think they'll find it, Holmes?
My secret police is better than the Yard in many ways.
Here it is, Mr. Holmes. But we can't take it back. It's too risky.
Put it on the table. I'll take care of it. Good work, young Wiggins. This list shows the senior officers of the Rock of Gibraltar, on which Lady Brackenstall and her maid made their voyage. Lady Brackenstall does not know anyone in England. This must mean that someone on this list is our mysterious visitor. And these are the lists of the senior officers of the Adelaide, Southampton, London Line ships. Let us find out who was in London upon November the 7th.
Right.
This list shows the This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime.
Okay.
I do not think that this sailor has any connection to the case. Mr. Jack Crocker was in London upon the date of the crime, and he is due to depart in 2 days. This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. I do not think that this officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. Captain Jack Crocker is our mysterious visitor. He was the only one around at the time of the murder.
This Crocker, do you think...
It would be interesting to meet him. Our young friend should be able to find him.
Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire. Wiggins, could you find a way to bring this Captain Crocker here to us?
Here? Holmes, that could be dangerous.
No problem, Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, I was informed that you were looking for me, and I'd like to know why.
Yes, it is important that we talk. You will soon understand why. You are acquainted with Lady Mary Brackenstall, are you not?
Yes, I think I do remember her, from when I was first officer, but I still don't see...
It seems your relationship went beyond that of mere passenger and first officer.
How dare you?
Indeed, how reckless a feeling is love, particularly if one is prepared to commit a murder in its name.
Explain yourself this instant.
You are aware that the murder made the headlines of the morning press. You read the newspaper report, but to your dismay found it much fabricated. Once you learned that I wanted to see you, you came straight away. You needed to know what I had found.
You... and what do you know?
That evening, you were with Lady Brackenstall, despite the danger.
I'm not afraid, Mr. Holmes. Besides, all of this is just guesswork.
You would be right if there was no evidence.
What then?
Lady Brackenstall was tied to a chair on the night of the murder. And it was you who tied her up.
You call that evidence?
Yes, as she was tied with a sailor's knot. Your handiwork.
So, it's a sailor who's done it. That proves nothing, Mr. Holmes. I'm not the only sailor in London right now. Your theory is flawed anyway. On the night of the murder, I was aboard the Sharp. I was supervising the repair of a porthole.
At night?
It was an emergency. There was a leak. You can ask the ship's carpenter. He can confirm.
I'm sure that he can.
Perfect. In that case, we have nothing more to talk about. Good evening, gentlemen.
Holmes, what should we do now? Would you like to check his alibi?
No. There is no doubt that these men will testify in his favor, and there will be no way to check.
So, what then?
So, we must work with what we have. We have all the puzzle pieces.
Now I understand why you dissected the bell rope.
Brave Toby. The best nose in the British Empire.
Oh no. Nice.
Wiggins, could you ask Mr. Crocker to come here again, please?
Right away.
Why did you make me come here again, Mr. Holmes?
It is over. I know that it was you who killed Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
What?
I know, because of the height at which the rope was cut. The knife used was a sea knife. The knots were sailor's knots, and not least the sheer force that was put behind the killing blow. And because you are the only one who knows Lady Mary Brackenstall in London. And because you love her.
It's true.
It is time for you to tell us the whole truth.
I admit that I loved Mary madly from the first day that I met her. But I never did come to visit her, for I believed that she was in a happy household. When I talked to her maid, who told me everything, I was insane with rage. I was due to set sail for 6 months away. I wanted only to see her again. But it turned into a damnable nightmare when he barged in. He dared raise his hand to her. He was not even worthy of licking her boots. Oh, I regret nothing. I admit I killed the monster out of love for her. She will forgive me if she is able.
Lady Brackenstall already forgave you. She said nothing.
Mary.
But that makes her an accomplice as well as her maid. It places her in danger yet again.
Mr. Holmes.
You would not have managed to protect her.
Till I die, do you hear me? Here is a letter that sets everything clear. And it is the one that should be disclosed to the police. I am the only culprit. Mary had nothing to do with it. Now it is time to end this. You should have let me die. How can I live if Mary suffers?
I am sorry, Captain Crocker, but there has been quite enough death in this case. Inspector, I give you Sir Eustace's killer. He tried his best to perform his own justice.
Well, I'm not surprised. Yes, it was me. I confess.
Here is a piece of evidence that can be used in court.
Perfect. A case that went smoothly for once.
The Abbey Granger First. Eustace was murdered by Captain Jack Crocker, who was visiting Lady Brackenstall at night. They staged it as a robbery by the Randall gang. Crocker used his sea knife to cut the bell rope to tie the lady and then hid the silverware in the well. He committed a violent crime for which he deserves a consigned punishment. Okay.
Holmes, for heaven's sake, whatever's going on?
Oh, hello, Watson. You're early. Did you kill all of your patients?
What? Holmes, where have all these wretched bees come from?
I increased the temperature of the room so as to prevent them from hibernating. I needed to take a sample of honey. But it worked, Watson. We will have honey all year round.
Ridiculous and dangerous.
They're domestic bees, Apis mellifera, such industrious workers. Anyway, Watson, I am sorry, but I must leave you. I'm in rather a hurry.
You have a new case?
Yes, but nothing as thrilling as this experiment. A theft of plants at the Royal Botanic Gardens in Kew. I'm helping a minister who's an old friend of mine. You can join me if you like.
Well, I'll admit that I'd far rather accompany you than remain alone here with these workers of yours. Besides, you'll need a helping hand with the flowers you're intending to bring back.
Watson, how ever did you guess?
For the great Sherlock Holmes to bother with the theft of plants. Come on, admit that you're planning to spoil your little bees with some rare pollens.
Since when did I become so transparent? Let us go. Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent. Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent. Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent. Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent. Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent. Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent. Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent.
Right. $12, $15, $18, $19. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Let's go to the virtual Kew Gardens. I've actually been in real life.
Well, Holmes, here we are at the Royal Botanic Gardens. There's no doubt that this place is beautiful. But are you really intent on investigating the theft of the plants?
Yes, of course.
Right. Get to the opposite side of the pond, he's having the blood and broken sign.
Don't touch anything else, is that clear? Just go and get a bucket of fertilizer. And without turning it over this time. Good day to you, gentlemen. How may I help you? If you are here for a visit, please do come back on Sunday.
I am afraid that it cannot wait. My name is Sherlock Holmes, and this is my friend and colleague, Dr. Watson. We are investigating the theft of plants that took place here 5 days ago. A remarkable collection, I believe.
So you're the one in charge, eh?
A small favour for a friend. Now, to whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
I am Martin Hamish. I am the Deputy Director of Kew Gardens. And that fellow yonder is Albert. He works here.
I am delighted to meet you. What can you tell us about the plants?
They were rare and exceptional plants. We presented them at our last exhibition. We haven't removed the stand yet. It is still in the large glass house. We only learned of their disappearance the evening after the exhibition, and nobody saw anything.
No doors were forced?
No, but I would imagine that for a thief it would be fairly easy to gain entry, for there are no guards here.
Well, if you don't mind, we will take a look. Now, you say that it is in the large glass house.
Yes, the one just behind me. Just a second, since Albert has nothing else to do. Albert, show these gentlemen where the exhibition was held.
How many people work here?
Only myself, but occasionally 2 students, Albert, whom you have met, and Miss White.
Okay.
Here it is. This is the place where the stolen plants were exhibited.
Thank you. Is there something the matter?
Yes, there is. All right, the plants were valuable and rare, but it seems to me that the tragedy that took place here only 2 days ago has been entirely forgotten already.
What tragedy are you referring to?
The director of Kew Gardens, Mr. Montague Dunn, he died here just 2 days ago.
We're very sorry. We were not aware. The 2 of you were good friends?
He was my father.
Oh dear. Our condolences. We should not be troubling you. Please do excuse us for the intrusion.
You say that he died here, in the large glass house?
Holmes?
Yes, just here, near the door to the Colonial Collection. He suffered a heart attack. Just like that. So suddenly. It was terrible. Excuse me, gentlemen, but I cannot remain here. If you need me, I'll be in the reserve. That's the room next to the front of the large greenhouse.
Of course, we understand.
Right.
According to Albert, this is where his father, Montague Dunn, was found dead.
Okay.
Blood. This sign is broken. Something heavy was dropped upon it. Someone fell violently against this sign, and they were injured in the clash, most likely a head wound. Soil. It should have come from a flower pot. The soil on the side of this flower shelf is the same as that on the ground. Fragments of a flower pot. It fell down here. These boot marks are fresh. It appears as though someone was dragging their feet. The traces are thinner in some places. The footprints reveal that someone staggered here.
Interesting.
This pot was broken fairly recently. A flower pot recently fell down from these shelves and was misplaced. The esconsson was breached near the handle.
Okay.
The door was smashed at shoulder height. This door handle is new. It was recently changed. The door was forced from the inside of the Colonial Collection room. The handle was changed afterwards.
I think we need to inspect the Colonial Collection room.
All the clues around here are quite suspicious. I need my imagination to make sense of it all. Very strange.
half of the colonial collection is absent. This reconstruction reveals a disturbing fact. Montague Dunn damaged the door of the colonial collection room.
He was in a panic, or the door was locked. Was it an accident or a murder then, I wonder? I think we need to inspect the colonial collection room.
According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building. This is one of the outlets of the ventilation system. This broken fragment was the result of a heavy blow. A fragment of marble, most likely chipped from a statue or sculpture. These windows were perfectly cleaned. The smell is strong. It is a detergent. Part of this greenhouse was emptied and thoroughly cleaned. These plants come from all the territories of the British Empire.
Okay.
I asked Inspector Lestrade to take Montague Dunn's body to Scotland Yard.
It's ready for autopsy then.
A beautiful feather pen of a good make.
This watch is of great value.
To Mr. F. Wayne, Director of Wayne and Sons Printing Company, my friend, your hostess for a great exhibition at Kew Gardens are very beautiful, but it is surely unnecessary to mention all the staff. The name alone will be sufficient. Montague done.
A membership card for the London Crest Club.
Okay.
First of all, let us carry out an external examination. There is an injury to the skull, most probably caused by the fall in the water lily greenhouse. The vessels and the pupil of the eye appear quite normal. The air from the lungs carries a faint floral aroma. There are no suspicious marks upon the chest. Let us finish our external examination so that we can proceed with the autopsy. No redness, stings, or bruises. Nothing suspicious here. Now, let us examine the internal organs.
Okay.
The heart's blood vessels show no pathological signs. The heart tissue shows no visible pathological signs.
Pardon me.
The lungs are congested and edematous. The tissue on the inferior lobe of the right lung is damaged, most probably caused by toxins from an unknown plant. The stomach tissues show no visible pathological signs. There is a small amount of content. It appears that he breakfasted lightly, only a short while before his death. Arged, it would seem that he was suffering from an alcohol addiction. The liver tissue is brown. There are no visible pathological signs.
Okay.
The suspicions have been substantiated. Montague Dunn, the director of Kew Gardens, died from poisoning. Plant poisoning, to be more exact.
You mean...
Yes, it is murder.
We should inform Lestrade.
Yes, but do remember, Watson, that I discovered the murder. The challenge is mine.
The challenge, Holmes?
We need to locate that deadly plant. Such a perfect murder appeals to me.
Murder of any kind appeals to you. Is that all we need to do?
No. We also have the people working at Kew Gardens. Martin Hamish and the son of the victim. Albert Dunn.
And also Miss White, of whom we spoke with Mr. Hamish. Should we bring them all here for interrogation?
No. A few innocuous questions at Kew will suffice, as well as a discreet delve into their personal affairs. Yes, Watson, it is time now to open the doors.
Even those in the staff building? I suppose that is necessary.
We should also be concerned with the victim himself. After all, we don't know very much about Montague Dunn.
You're enjoying this already, aren't you?
More than a little. Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent. Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent. Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent. Director's office, cloakroom, and laboratory. Palm house. Reserve. Water lily greenhouse. Colonial collection. Dry tropics. Ventilation system. Seed house. Nursery.
Okay.
Locked.
Huh?
Mr. Hamish, can you explain to us what happened to the colonial collection? It seems somewhat depleted.
But, most likely maintenance work, tidying up.
You're not sure, then? But you're the deputy director.
Well, I am busy. I cannot be everywhere at once.
Albert told us about the tragic death of Mr. Dunn, the late director of Kew Gardens.
Tragic indeed. His heart attack was quite unexpected.
As deputy director, how was your relationship with Montague Dunn?
To be honest with you, Mr. Holmes, it could have been better. You see, every Tuesday he would carry out his inspection of the gardens, but it was solely to make an impression, great pretense that he cared at all. He would give out absurd orders, ignoring anyone else's opinion. He would then disappear for the rest of the week. He was what some might call a man of action. I'd say rather he was overzealous and chaotic. So after all, it was no wonder, perhaps, that he ended up like that, if you take into consideration his kind of lifestyle.
You mentioned that Mr. Dunn led a particular lifestyle.
Well, it's no secret that he enjoyed, celebrating, shall we say. He was a member of the London Smart Set. He was famous for it. That and...
And?
He had an eye for the ladies, to put it mildly, Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Hamish, can you tell us who holds the keys to the locked greenhouses?
That would be Albert, Mr. Dunn's son. Yes, Albert keeps all the keys, and one can only imagine why.
What do you mean?
Well, he was never interested in Kew Gardens before, and now all of a sudden he is trying to act as if he owns the place. I think he wants to take over the management here. He'd do better to leave that to me. He has no experience. No, none at all.
Tell me, Mr. Hamish, do you grow the more deadly variety of plant here?
You mean insectivorous? Yes, but nothing larger than that.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
Can I help you, gentlemen?
Who is Miss Margaret White?
Ah, she is the young lady who studies with me. She visits here sometimes to help out with the greenhouses. In fact, she should be here today. She wanted to work at the seed house. That's the small greenhouse across from the large glass house.
Do you work here?
Yes, but part-time only, for I'm also studying botany at the University of London.
You're following in your father's footsteps, then. That is commendable.
Well, even if botany is not my strongest suit, there are people who say that I could be a good manager.
We noticed that a part of the colonial collection has been cleared.
Ah. At the moment, I'm just dealing with the storage room. I don't know much about the other rooms.
I imagine that your relationship with your father may have been a strained one.
Yes. I cannot say that he was a kind man, for he never listened to me at all. He forced me to work here. But now, after his death, I've been pondering it over. Perhaps he wasn't so wrong about me after all. I have to follow his path, and I have to manage Kew Gardens. And I can do it. I can be as good as any other who works here.
Would you please tell us about Martin Hamish, the deputy director?
Well, I have to tell you that Mr. Hamish is not and has never been the deputy director of Kew Gardens. My father would not have tolerated it.
Indeed? That is most interesting. He told us that he was.
Yes, because he believes that the management should be passed down to him now that my father is dead. But in actual fact, Mr. Hamish only has the honour of being the garden's longest-serving employee. In fact, if we are to think logically at all, should be me who takes over the management of Kew Gardens.
Do you not have a good relationship with Mr. Hamish?
I suppose so. But we have very little in common. Mr. Hamish loves his plants and Kew Gardens, and I cannot say that I share his passion.
I see. And how was his relationship with your father?
Oh, he hated my father. It was obvious. He would be furious whenever my father boasted of Kew Gardens in the newspapers or at conferences. He was convinced that my father was stealing all of the credit for himself. But my father treated Mr. Hamish in the same way as he treated anyone, dismissively, with indifference.
Do you hold the keys to all of these locked doors?
Yes, you can have them. But I cannot give you the keys to the cloakroom. The employees' effects are private. I am sure you understand.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
Let's read these character profiles first. Albert Dunn is a nervous and anxious young man, clearly evident by his written fingernail. He uses a quantity of detergent with which to clean his hands, which is a poor decision, seeing as he handles plants and soil. His eyes are red. He has been weeping very recently. His age tells us that he is still university. He is good-looking, unmarried, and probably still lives with his mother. Martin Hamish is unmarried. Hands and nails resemble those of a gardener. They are dirty and swollen. He is short-sighted and wearing bifocals to correct his vision. He is very plain. He works hard to the point of neglecting his appearance. It is sadly unlikely that he has any female companion. He lives alone. Um, 24, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 21, right. Okay, examine Albert's duties by the wood rack. Tell us the door before leaving this room.
A task list for Albert, compiled by Martin Hamish. Sweep out the palm house, scrub the toilets, clean the storage shed tools.
Alright. Okay. Nice. My dear friend, please allow me to express my disappointment upon reading your last letter. I am paying you to defend me, not to accuse me. Kew Gardens is a royal institution. We are granted the great opportunity to travel the world and save most extraordinarily precious and rare species of plant. Duty is to protect such species, and for those who might wish to use them for dubious purpose. This divine syndicate of whom you speak have no right to hold such precious plants. Remember the case of June 14th, 1889, so I must respectfully ask you once again to notarise the permissions of these plants on behalf of Kew Gardens. The documents were sent to you on Monday. P.S. See you in Boodles on Tuesday as always. Okay.
A list of the plants that were displayed at the exhibition and later stolen.
Mr. Dunn, we must ask you for the last time for the return of our dear sisters. You do not have any right to hold them in prison. They do not belong to you. Your so-called permissions are wholly false. You are hiding behind lies. The lie we need not elaborate that was reported in the press as the case of June 14th, 1889. What you have done is quite abhorrent. Be very sure that we shall never abandon our family members. We trusted you and regret having done so. Oh.
I suggest that we don't tell Miss Margaret White about this document.
Debt of Miss Margaret White to Mr. Montague Dunn, rental of a suite of rooms at Oxford Street, educational scholarship at the London University, credits opened at Hamilton, Radigan House Tailors and at Baird and Sons Luxury Jewellers. Okay.
A photograph of Montague Dunn and Reynold Hamish. Newspapers discussing Kew Gardens.
The Times new plant species. The Kew Gardens team are pleased to announce the successful production of a new variety of barley, one that retains a complete resistance to the cold. They have named it the Siberian barley. Mr. Martin Hamish, the proud cultivator of the graft, will hold a press conference next Monday morning on this very subject. My dearest Margaret, following our last conversation, I believe it might be better if you vacate your position here at Kew Gardens. As you pointed out quite bluntly, you are no longer in need of my support. You are quite able to stand up for yourself in this world, as you say. Well, I give you back your freedom and wish you nothing but good luck, Montague Dunn. Okay.
Champagne. Montague Dunn had good taste. French wine. A remarkable vintage. Locked. This is a table for experiments. It resembles my own.
Only this one is kept in good order, Holmes. A phonograph used for voice recording. Remarkable.
Yes, this is quite a modern laboratory.
And it seems clear from these multiple experiments that plants do respond to their environment and have a form of consciousness. Margaret White, February 1895. Report number 245.
Study report.
Martin Hamish's perception of plants. The notion of communication in the plant world has long been considered marginal, yet I remain convinced that some plants do indeed transmit chemical signals in the event of attack.
A study report by Martin Hamish. Chemicals, a sufficient quantity for some serious experiments. A botany book. This student's book belongs to Albert. There was a bottle here. It left behind a trace of the substance that pervaded the laboratory. Several drops of the substance were spilled. Someone carried this bottle around. Several drops of the substance were spilled. Someone carried this bottle around.
Gold dust? Good heavens. What's it doing here?
The gold is almost immune to chemical attacks, so it may be a valuable auxiliary for various experiments.
But why would anyone perform such experiments in a botanical garden?
The bottle is no longer here, but it is possible to detect a faint scent. We need a good nose. It appears as though the protective equipment is missing from here. Gloves, waterproof aprons, everything one might need for self-protection.
Do they grow dangerous plants here?
Such masks are generally worn when dealing with toxic chemicals. Locked.
Holmes, Albert Dunn didn't give us the key to this door.
It does not matter. We will open it.
Oh yeah.
Open. Martin Hamish's locker. Martin Hamish studied chemistry. Interesting. A review on rare and exotic plants. Martin Hamish has written several pieces.
Mr. General Secretary, the recent events unfolding at Kew Gardens oblige me to renew my application for the management position, as I've stated previously already in my previous letters. I believe that no one is better suited for the post. Mr. Montague Dunn was alive. I understood your reservation to my suggestion. Your reasons were political, and so I was happy to comply. But now the Kew Gardens lie in disorder. How can I stand by until that and allow it? How can I leave them in the hands of an inexperienced people with no motivation? I urge you to cast a decision as a matter of urgency so that I may devote myself entirely to enable the task ahead and free my mind from this uncertainty. Okay.
Father and I. Kew Gardens.
Okay.
Albert's locker. Specialist articles on shipyards and ship construction. Albert Dunn has a great passion for shipbuilding and the sea. Young Albert, standing with a woman in front of London University. A rejection letter from the British Royal Naval College.
Royal Navy School of NCA's Recruitment Centre London, so it's my regret to inform you that despite your excellent results within our entry examinations, we are unable to invite you into the Royal Navy School. Your father, Mr. Montague Dunn, has expressed his intention to entrust you the directorship of the Royal Botanic Gardens in Kew, and it is clear that he would not release you for an entire year of naval training. Please accept all our best wishes for your future at Kew Gardens. Yours very faithfully, J.M. Lemarchand, Director of the Royal Navy Training Centre. Okay.
Miss White's locker. A draft of the letter that Miss White sent to her parents.
Dear Mother and Father, I am writing this letter with reluctance to ask for your help. My studies and my housing costs are proving to be more expensive than I had anticipated. Fear, therefore, that I may not be able to manage in the long term. I know that we have had our disagreements in the past. Would you be so heartless as to allow your daughter to fail her studies due to lack of money? Margaret.
Apparently, Miss White is a capable student.
These jewels must be worth a small fortune.
Dear Margaret, I know how your financial troubles are overwhelming you at this present time. Please let me reassure you that I could not permit you to remain in such a dilemma. Born of a wealthy family, I would consider it an honour if you might accept my help. Your devoted servant, Albert.
A vanity purse. It is of high quality.
Margaret, we were surprised to receive your letter. How could you think to ask us for money after all of these years that have passed since you left, without any thought of us? You have never shared with us any detail of your success at the university, but you choose to do so now. I suppose you must be ashamed of us, that we are not from the same high class as your new friends. Yes, we are modest people, but you should learn to put your family first, as we at home have always done, and none of us ever compromise reputation, as it appears you have already with your employer, Mr. Dunn. No, Margaret, it is you who makes us feel ashamed of your parents. Okay. Right.
Nursery. It is a bust of Montague Dunn. I am curious if the marble that we found will fit this place. Here it is. The marble fragment that we found in the Colonial Collection Room is what they have in common. These young plants must be delicate if they are kept in the nursery.
We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window. We can see the This poster is for an exhibition that Martin Hamish was directing, but it had nothing to do with Kew Gardens. This certificate belongs to Martin Hamish. He won a horticultural competition. A glasses case. It is empty. A thesis written by Martin Hamish. This area serves as Martin Hamish's office. We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window. This is one of the outlets of the ventilation system. A master's degree diploma. It belongs to Martin Hamish. An award presented to Martin Hamish for Best Grower of the Year. The seeds of plant species are stored here. Open. Seed house.
Good day to you, miss. You have some very beautiful plants here.
Why, thank you, sir. And good day to you too. But...
Oh, I do beg your pardon. My name is Dr. John Watson. This is my good friend, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
I am honoured to make your acquaintance, gentlemen. My name is Margaret White. Excuse me, but are you Sherlock Holmes, the great detective?
Yes, I am he.
What a pleasure to see you here at Kew Gardens. Are you working on a case?
Yes, a theft of plants that took place here a few days ago after their most recent exhibition.
Oh, yes, of course. I quite forgot about that.
Oh, it's quite understandable that you might forget about the theft of the plants, miss, after the tragedy that took place here.
Yes. The director was a truly good man. It is such a terrible misfortune.
Would you happen to know why part of the Colonial Collection was cleared?
No, I have never been there.
Do you work here?
Part-time only. I am a biology student at the London University. I attend the same classes as the son of Mr. Montague Dunn. That is how I found my chance to work here for part of my thesis, you see. It is a great honour.
How well did you know Mr. Montague Dunn?
He was a master, a great leader. I saw him almost as a spiritual father.
He had an exceptional nature?
Oh, yes, indeed. He was always so active and so optimistic, and very nice to me. Although he could behave harshly towards his son.
Why so?
He loved his son dearly and wanted the very best for him. It made him extremely demanding. Albert, who is naturally shy, suffered because of it.
Most of the doors in Kew Gardens are locked. Do you have a key to this room?
Oh, yes. Albert gave me a set of duplicate keys. He agreed I might carry out my studies without disturbing him. It is only temporary.
Thank you, miss. None of the 3 people who work at Kew Gardens know why half of the colonial collection was cleared. So, someone is lying. It is obvious.
Okay. Miss Margaret White, the beautiful young lady who appears moderately wealthy, nevertheless her hands can be seen to be marked by tiny brown dots, is of course by pellagra, a condition that emerges after a prolonged period of malnutrition. They reveal that her childhood was a poor and unhappy one. However, the signs of wealth that we see now then indicate a significant change in her life. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 22. Yep, that's right, okay.
This is one of the outlets of the ventilation system. From here, we are unable to see the interior of the colonial collection room. Materials for college study. They belong to Albert. These leather gloves are new and of good quality. They do not appear to have been used. This place serves as Albert's office.
A book about ships. Nothing at all to do with plants.
There is a smell of burning. A water tank. A ventilation system. It should regulate the temperature of the staff buildings. This symbol is from the Divine Syndicate. Someone set it alight, but it did not burn. A protective mask. The plants were set alight fairly recently. Some have not completely burned. A door handle? Why would anyone throw such a thing in the fire? The door handle to the Colonial Collection and that of the fireplace are made of the same material. A broom handle was half burned. The remains of a picture frame. Dry tropics. These flower pots are beautiful. They are intended to be used for exhibition purposes. The symbol is not from Kew Gardens.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Come on, Toby. We have some work for you to do. Let us go to Kew Gardens. Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent. Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent.
Let us take Toby to the laboratory. He will pick up the scent of this mysterious substance. Search, Toby. Search.
Okay. Dogs can open doors now, apparently. Yeah.
Congratulations, Toby. Now let us see what you have found.
Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire. Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire.
This is the bottle that was used in the laboratory. It was buried here. There is still some liquid remaining in the bottle, with gold flakes, a tiny caterpillar. Not surprising to see one in a garden, but at the bottom of a bottle. This is where I keep my post.
These plants have a certain toxicity in common, more or less variable Dionea carnivorous, Carlinea inebriae, Florum diabolica, Prunus serratina, Chromalena odorata, Helium fores tipue, Meble, Genelecia, Violacea, Darlingtonia, Caucus cephalotus. Only the first three can be dangerous to humans, particularly Florum diabolica. Only under very specific conditions. The plant should react to a process of aggression against which it will issue deadly spores.
Here it is.
Okay. The Divine Scholastic Syndicate for Vegetation Veneration. The members of this syndicate worship Triwin, the God King. They strive to attain spiritual peace and release themselves from the material world, so generous donations are appreciated.
Here it is. The Divine Syndicate is not a supplier to Kew Gardens. Besides, there is no address here.
Seymour's Garden Equipment and Supplies. We are a premium supplier. All your landscape gardening and timber requirements, full range supply and delivery of sand, soils, mulches, pots, and anything else you may need. That's 3 Burton Road, London.
Here it is.
Strand, Scandal at Divine Syndicate Club. The Divine Syndicate Club, followers of the God King Triwin, situated 48 Grosvenor Street, Carleton Road, protectors of plants and more, particularly trees, are currently the subject of an administrative investigation. These of this organisation are convicted of financial malfeasance. It may be that this investigation will lead to charges of the judiciary. Meanwhile, many voices have risen high against this inspection, denouncing the state. In fact, this private organisation, which is given as its goal the defence and protection of many and which incorporates many persons of influence, including political representatives of the opposition party.
Here it is. And here is the Divine Syndicate's address. Perfect. It is time to find out what they have against Montague Dunn.
Interesting.
Let us determine just what we have found here. Let us pour liquid from the bottle into a test tube to perform an analysis. A colourless, water-based liquid. Quite a strong floral aroma.
Holmes? What are you doing?
It has a bitter taste.
What if it's poisonous?
Did you ever see poison stored in enormous jars like that? Anyway, there is a doctor nearby.
So what do you think it is?
It is some kind of organic compound. Let us vaporize the liquid and see what happens. Small colourless crystals. Colourless, tiny crystals that are soluble in water, with a floral smell and a bitter taste. Watson, could you pass me that small bottle, please?
Of course. Here you are. Holmes, do you know what it is?
Wagner's reagent. There was a label on the bottle that you passed to me.
No, Holmes, I meant the bottle that we found.
Let me add the reagent and see if there is any sediment, and then I shall tell you. Red sediment, just as I suspected. This liquid is of organic origin. It contains some alkaloid. Most likely it is unstable, and that is why there is a quantity of gold dust to prevent contamination. This mixture is probably a fertilizer. Someone was carrying out unusual experiments in the garden's laboratory.
Following three plants were proven lethal to humans: Dionea carnivorous, Valina inebriate, Florum diabolica. The realization of the topic is fairly difficult. Guys are particular chemical fertilizer, natural stimulation, nutrition. The caterpillars should work. Okay. That's time to head over to the Divine Syndicate. Okay then.
This place is beautiful, Holmes. Its atmosphere is remarkably soothing.
Let us find someone who could help us.
Bloody hell. Didn't expect this.
Good day to you, sir. My name is Sherlock...
I am exalting the sap. A while can you wait? From the trace of elements and moreover from the quality of the ambient geotropism it depends. Therefore, please, mind my gravitropism. Its balance, do not disturb.
Disturbed is most definitely the word.
There. Completed is the symbiosis. Welcome you are. To introduce myself I shall. I am the Green Grand Mystic.
The Green Grand Mystic? Himself?
This is me. Who am I speaking to?
We are two gentlemen who are extremely interested in the vegetation philosophy that is advocated by this establishment.
Listening to you, I am.
We should like to take a look around, to immerse ourselves in the wisdom that emanates from here.
It is a school of anastomosis, the divine scholastic syndicate for vegetation veneration and meditation. You may say, the divine syndicate, glory to the eukaryotic. Only true devotees, those whose hearts are ready to spermatophize in sharing of knowledge, are permitted to physically enter our vegetable kingdom and its wisdom. And to be permitted, you must earn it, yes.
Green Grand Mystic, we are ready to become devotees and gain access to your temple.
What is the name of our Lord, our God King?
Our God King's name is Treewan, Green Grand Mystic.
Oh la, good, I like you.
Here is the holy key to the wisdom place. Holy donation, can you make whenever you
This is
say?
crazy.
Thank you so much.
I pray
Oh,
you to
fuck.
taste our fertilizer substance. From the burdens of life it helps to free.
But of course.
Raw sap, it is called. It is near the entrance.
We visited Kew Gardens, and we found your symbols on their flower pots.
Coincidence, I am thinking. They would scavenge our refuse. It would not surprise me.
It was merely an observation. Well, we will leave you to your meditation.
Green Grand Mystic is a strange character. He has a Chinese tattoo, a particular scar on the palm of his left hand, an injury that occurs when one uses unnecessary force with a chemical pet. His practice chemistry, which requires a Cartesian mindset.
Fragments of a flower pot. It fell down here. The Kew Gardens symbol. A fragment of a flower pot. The list of plant friends and benefactors, lawyers, well-known manufacturers, political leaders. That should be the raw sap that the Green Grand Mystic spoke of. It is rather delicious, and of an excellent quality.
My word, Holmes. Their sap is like a form of cocaine.
Osmosis and photosynthesis.
This must be Triwan, the Divine Syndicate's god. This door is locked, but I can try to open it. Caterpillars. They are raised as food for certain plants. Let's take them. A tropical plant. Nothing of interest. 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 These three plants are identical to the ones shown at the exhibition. I shall take them. A tropical plant. A tropical. These instruments are used for smoking opium. This cabinet is full of chemicals. They are the same as the ones we found in the laboratory at Kew Gardens. This substance is an alkaloid, the same as in the bottle we found in the bushes at Kew Gardens. That would be enough to perform the most difficult of chemical experiments. A vast amount of opium. Do you have friends at Kew Gardens?
None. Not worthy they are.
Nevertheless, we have seen Kew Gardens flower pots in your yard. How could they happen to be there?
What? Our sacred place you permitted yourself to search? Sacrilege.
No, really now. There was a theft of plants at Kew Gardens a matter of days ago, and we believe the pots we found here may be connected with it. Please tell us, were you involved?
No. Those plants were ours. They had stolen them from us.
How so?
Their director, Dump, I believe.
Done.
Yes, that's what I said. He borrowed from us 3 of our sisters for the exhibition at his greenfly-infested gardens. But he never gave them back to us. Excuses and imbecility. So we went in and saved them.
I see. So if you stole those rare plants from them, then it means... Ah, I get it. Bravo, Holmes. I think the case is solved.
No, we did not steal. We saved. Well, as a matter of fact, we were unable to find our 3 plants.
I beg your pardon. And yet you took all of the exotic plants from the stand.
They had disappeared. It was the least we could do. They stole our sisters, and so we stole theirs.
Well, we will leave you to your meditation.
It's not comfy at all sitting like that. Okay, poisoning. Plus deadly plants stolen. Just a murder. Divine Syndicate Thieves plus deadly stolen.
Perfect, Watson. We can begin our experiment. I imagine that one of these plants would be capable of releasing a toxic vapor. I need to find out exactly how it could be done. I shall begin now. Watson, if you are at all optimistic to have dinner this evening, then I'd recommend that you put on the gas mask. This plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid. It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid. This plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid. It closed again. I believe I saw a small cloud of gas. I wonder what secrets this plant is hiding. Perhaps if we agitate it to a greater extent whilst it is opened, it will reveal a little more. I find the behavior of predators utterly fascinating. How interesting. What a strong and effective defensive mechanism. I am interested in what might occur if the prickly plant should shoot at it. A prickly plant. A carnivorous plant. This is a strange and unusual plant. It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid. Toxic gas with spores. Extraordinary. The plants would be capable of killing only if they were directly next to the victim and stimulated at precisely the right moment.
Let us take our caterpillars to the Colonial Collection Room. We may see things more clearly there.
It is too early, Watson. Our suspects will be there. Let us investigate Kew Gardens one more time and ask some questions.
Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent.
What is your opinion of Albert as a student of botany?
Useless. I often tell him so, and I can only give him cleaning tasks. Botany is not his life's work, and his father well knew it. He was furious about it.
He was?
Oh, yes. He forced his son to work here, and he never missed an opportunity to criticize him publicly.
Are you able to elaborate on that?
Well, for example, with our last exhibition here, Mr. Dunn had Albert make a presentation speech. But then, while the lad was speaking, Mr. Dunn interrupted him, asking him difficult questions, making him look like a failure. It was with the intention of making a fool of him, Mr. Holmes.
That must have been terribly humiliating.
Yes, he was crushed, and he had to leave. Everybody was making fun of poor Albert. That is, except for Miss Margaret White, who is such a nice lady and who always takes pity on Albert.
You mentioned a Miss White. Would you tell us more about her?
She is a student who works here part-time. She is quite charming indeed. She possesses a great talent for botany. You should take a look at some of her experiments that she carried out in the laboratory. Ah, if only she were not so naive.
Why naive?
The way she used to flutter around Mr. Montague Dunn. And he couldn't help but be flattered by all her attention. How could an intelligent woman such as Miss White not see through his game? I can only scratch my head and wonder.
Mr. Hamish, was someone from your family connected with Kew Gardens?
Family? No. I'm the only one with a passion for botany.
I do not think so. This photograph of you and your father at Kew Gardens suggests the opposite.
But you have no right to...
Do tell us more about your father.
He was, indeed, the greatest botanist of his time in the British Empire. He worked together with Montague Dunn until the end of his life. He brought me in at the age of 12.
Did he get on well with Mr. Dunn?
No, I couldn't say that. They expanded Kew Gardens together, that was all. And it was all my father's work, for Dunn always lived the high life.
So Mr. Dunn was not helping your father?
Oh, yes, he provided the financial support. And as far as he was concerned, that fulfilled his role. But the worst of it was, he declared himself as the master of Kew Gardens. Fame meant nothing to my father, so it was easy for Mr. Dunn to take all the credit.
Are you aware of the Divine Syndicate?
The Divine what? Is this a joke?
No, I am quite serious.
What a ridiculous name. Anyway, I have never heard of this syndicate.
There is a bust of Montague Dunn in the nursery.
A bust? Oh, that old thing. Further proof of that outrageous ego of his.
But why in that room in particular?
Oh, I don't know. It has always been there.
It is strange, because I recovered a fragment of the bust inside the Colonial Collection Room.
Really? Oh, well, so I am mistaken. It ought to have been removed during the clean-up. This room is so small.
Do you know who moved it?
I have no idea. Surely Mr. Dunn requested it. Do you have any more questions like this? Because fragments of rock are not my responsibility.
Evidently. Can you tell me if you saw Mr. Montague Dunn on the day of his death?
Yes, of course. I met him, and we went to see Albert, his son, at around 9:30. He appeared quite calm.
What were you doing on the morning of the accident?
After paying multiple visits to Albert, I had a little talk with Miss White. Then I returned to my desk to complete some paperwork. Suddenly I observed that Mr. Dunn was not feeling well, so I ran immediately to fetch Albert. I clearly remember that it was around 10:30, for I was late that morning.
Okay, be down soon.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish.
Okay.
We shall continue our investigation. Can you tell me what Mr. Dunn was doing upon the day of his death?
I can, but there is nothing very special to say. I was in the laboratory when I saw Mr. Dunn heading towards me. Tuesday is the day of his weekly visit. It was supposed to be at 9, but he was 10 minutes late, as usual.
And then?
Well, he came in to say good morning. Then I saw him spend 2 or 3 minutes by the plants outside the laboratory. After that, he ran out in the direction of the nursery, where Mr. Hamish was working. He was always in a rush during the inspection, you see. I would pity anyone who stood in his way.
And that was the last time you saw him?
Yes. I stayed in the laboratory until 20 minutes to 11, when I heard the cries of Albert and Mr. Hamish from the large glass house. I joined them as soon as I could, for I knew that something must be very wrong.
What exactly were you doing in the laboratory?
I was recording an experiment for my thesis. I only stopped my work once when Mr. Hamish visited me briefly around 10 o'clock.
You say you were recording an experiment when the tragedy occurred. Might I listen to the roll?
Certainly. Please do. You will find it in the laboratory. It is number 320.
The Divine Syndicate. Does that name mean anything to you, by any chance?
Not at all. But it is a very pretty name.
Thank you, miss.
Where's Albert? find out first. There it is. Right, let's leave it there, I think. Okay, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you very much for watching if you did. You can follow me on Twitter at tblake7, subscribe on YouTube, Blakey101, and follow me on Twitter to Swan. Thanks for watching.